Hello everyone, I'm Shaikha Madani. My topic is training and development, what works. I will review two meta-analyses, one on overall training effectiveness and one on training transfer, and then show two practical HR tools, a training needs assessment form, and a job description for an HR manager. Article 1 explores a very important question. Why do learners rarely apply what they learn back on the job? The literature review focuses on the classic transfer model, which highlights three main factors that influence training transfer: the training design, trainee characteristic, and the work environment. In other words, it's not enough to deliver good training. What really matters is how the training is structured, who receives it, and whether the organization supports the use of new skills afterward. However, the article points out the findings from individual studies are inconsistent. Some show strong effects of these factors, while others don't. Because of these mixed results, the authors identify a need for a comprehensive meta-analysis, a study that combines and analyzes data from many previous studies to give a clearer overall picture of what really drives successful training transfer. This article used a meta-analysis approach, which means the researchers combined data from many empirical studies on training transfer across multiple industries. By doing this, they were able to look at overall trends rather than relying on just one organization or sector. They extracted effect sizes from each study. In other words, they measured how strongly different factors were related to training transfer. They also coded moderators such as the type of transfer measure used and the time lag between training and evaluation to understand what conditions make transfer more or less effective. Finally, the researchers quantitatively aggregated all the results to identify clear relationships between key predictors like training design, trainee characteristics, and work environment and actual transfer outcomes. This method provided a strong evidence base for understanding what truly drives successful application of training in the workplace. Then, findings and discussion. Key results: work environment, support, and opportunity to perform were among the strongest predictors of transfer. Training design mattered. Approaches like behavior modeling and active learning performed better. The takeaway is that transfer is not automatic. We need post-training reinforcement. Background and literature review of Article 2 focuses on a key question. Do training programs actually and consistently improve learning and job performance? The literature review shows that results have been varied across different training methods. For example, some studies found that lecture-based training helps with knowledge retention but not necessarily with behavior change. Others showed that simulation or behavioral training, where learners actively practice skills, produces stronger, longer-lasting results. Because these findings are not always consistent, the authors identified the need for a meta-analytic synthesis. That means combining results from many studies to identify which training design features, such as interactivity, practice opportunities, and feedback, are most effective in improving both learning outcomes and on-the-job performance. In short, the article highlights that not all training is equally effective, and the design approach truly determines how well employees learn and apply new skills. This article also used a meta-analysis approach, but it focused specifically on comparing different training designs across various organizational settings. By analyzing data from many studies, the researchers were able to identify which types of training methods consistently lead to better outcomes. They compared the effect sizes of several training approaches, for example, behavioral modeling, where employees learn by observing and practicing desired behaviors, and simulation training, which allows them to apply skills in realistic, hands-on scenarios. This comparison helped determine which methods are more powerful in producing lasting learning and performance improvements. In addition, the researchers looked at different evaluation levels, including learning behaviors and results, to see not just whether people learned something, but whether they actually changed how they work, and whether that change improved outcomes. This multi-level analysis gives a deeper understanding of how training effectiveness varies depending on the method and the evaluation focus. The key findings from this article show that training is generally effective, but some methods clearly stand out. In particular, behavioral modeling and simulation-based training produce the largest effect because they allow employees to actively practice new skills in realistic situations. Another important point is that the level of evaluation matters. The results show that training has the strongest effect on learning outcomes, meaning participants gain knowledge and skills, but the impact becomes smaller, though still meaningful. When we look at behavior and job results, this suggests that while people learn during training, not all of them fully transfer those skills back to their daily works. The implication is that organizations should blend different training methods and go beyond simple quiz or test. Instead, they should include observation and follow-up evaluations to see how trainees actually apply what they learned on the job and how that affects performance outcomes. Top Up 1 Training Needs Assessment Form. Based on the evidence, I designed a TNA form that targets transfer from the start. It includes role and competency profile, current versus desired proficiency, a priority matrix, a training plan, a transfer plan, and evaluation at 30, 60, and 90 days. This aligns to the meta-analytic findings designed for practice and ensure environment support. Top Up to HR Manager Job Description. The HR Manager job description clarifies accountability for transfer and quality outcomes. It includes duties like workforce planning, recruitment, onboarding, training, and development, performance management, employee relations, compliance, and HR analytics. Key KPIs include time to hire, retention, training, transfer rates, appraisal completion, and engagement. This ensures someone owns the conditions that enable training to translate into performance. Lastly, synthesis and practical takeaways. In synthesis, training is effective and transfer improves when we use active designs like simulation and behavior modeling and engineer the work environment for support and opportunities to use new skills. The TNA helps us pick the right skills with the right methods, and the job description assigns clear accountability to sustain transfer and measure actual behavior and results.